I didn't go looking for anything. That's the part that still sits weird in my gut. Like, I wasn't snooping or following her around or being paranoid. All I did was bring her folder inside. That's it. Just being helpful. Laura had gone out the night before. Just the girls, she said. Nothing new. Once every couple months. She and her friends get dressed up, hit some overpriced lounge downtown, drink fruity cocktails, and take blurry selfies that all end up on Instagram with captions like, Queen's Crown, or, Still got it. I didn't think twice about it. Honestly, I was glad she was getting out. She'd been stressed with work, talking about office politics, her new team lead who she didn't quite click with, deadlines piling up. So when she said she needed a night with her friends, I just nodded. Said, go blow off some steam. Told her to have fun. She left around 7:30. Wore a black dress I hadn't seen in a while. Her hair curled a little tighter than usual. Makeup done like she was going to a gala, not a bar. I complimented her. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and left in an Uber with a casual, love you, babe. That was the last normal moment. The next morning, I found her work folder in the back seat of my car. I'd picked her up from work a couple days ago. That's probably when she tossed it in there and forgot. Figured I'd do her a favor and bring it inside. But when I unzipped her tote to make sure the documents weren't bent, I noticed something odd. Buried underneath a few files and receipts was a shirt, not a women's blouse, a man's shirt, deep navy blue, with a small stitch tag inside the collar. Bayshore in room service laundry. It wasn't folded, just kind of wadded up. There was a faint red wine stain near the bottom hem and, what stopped me cold, a faint smudge of lipstick near the collar. Not Laura's color. She wears a muted pink or nude. This was more. Maroon? Wine-colored. Almost. Dramatic. And then there was the scent. Not mine. Not hers. Some kind of woodsy cologne or maybe an expensive body spray, but sweet. Sharp. Nothing either of us uses. For a few seconds, I just stood there, holding it, my brain doing that thing where it tries to explain everything away before panic can settle in. Maybe it really was someone else's. Maybe one of the girls had it with her, tossed it in Laura's bag without thinking. Maybe it had been on a shared chair or sofa or whatever. These kinds of nights can get messy, right? I set the shirt on the kitchen counter. Waited. She came downstairs about an hour later. Hair in a bun, hoodie on, holding her phone like she was mid-scroll. She looked half asleep. Her eyes landed on the shirt immediately. I watched her reaction like I was watching a scene in a movie, like I was outside my own body. She froze for a split second, barely, then cocked her head and smiled lightly. Oh, that must be from the lounge. We all threw our stuff on the same couch. I probably grabbed it by mistake. No hesitation, just smooth. That's not yours, I asked. No, babe. She walked over, leaned on the counter, picked it up like it was nothing. Guess someone's missing their shirt. You know how it gets when everyone's rushing to grab their stuff. It's probably Jamie's boyfriend's or something. Jamie, her best friend. Married. I didn't ask more. Where's this place? I asked. The lounge. Oh, Bayshore. Something like that. Near the waterfront. She was pouring herself coffee now. Just calm. Too calm. I didn't press her. Just nodded. Never heard of it. She shrugged. New place. Kind of bougie. It was nice though. Live music and all. She changed the topic. Asked if I wanted breakfast. Said she was starving. Told me about how one of her friends got too drunk and had to Uber home early. Everything about her seemed casual. Relaxed. If she was acting, she was good at it. Really good. But I wasn't listening to her words anymore. I was still thinking about that shirt. The lipstick. The wine stain. The scent. I wasn't suspicious before. I wasn't the jealous type. But now, something had changed. Not just in my head, in my stomach. In my chest. I couldn't explain it, but I felt it. Like something had cracked open and I couldn't put the pieces back. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But here's what kept gnawing at me. The way she looked at the shirt. That half-second freeze when she first saw it. You only notice something like that if you're already looking. And apparently I was. And then came the laptop. Later that evening, Laura stepped out for a walk. Said she needed to clear her head, which she sometimes did after a long day of emails and Zoom calls. Nothing unusual. She took her phone, threw on a sweatshirt and said she'd be back in 20. Her laptop was still open on the dining table. Not locked. Not shut. I wasn't planning to do anything with it. I swear I wasn't. I just passed by to grab my own charger. And that's when I saw the screen was still lit. Some kind of chat window was open. I didn't recognize the interface. It wasn't Slack or Teams. Something web-based, maybe. The name at the top just said B. There were only a few words visible before it refreshed. Last night was different. Still thinking about it. That was it. The message vanished. Auto-refresh, or maybe she had it minimized. My hands froze on my charger. Different? What did that mean? Before I could even process what I'd seen, the screen dimmed and locked. I just stood there, staring at my reflection in the black glass. I didn't open it again. I didn't dig deeper. I wasn't ready. But everything started shifting in that moment. My brain, my heart, they weren't synced anymore. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but that tiny message, combined with the shirt, the smell, the story, it painted a picture I wasn't ready to hang on my wall. I sat in the living room until she came back. She didn't mention the walk. Just plopped on the couch, kicked off her shoes, and asked if I wanted to watch something. I said sure. She curled up next to me like nothing had happened. But I didn't move. I didn't touch her. And in my head, something cold had already started to settle in. After that night, I started paying attention to things I never used to. Not because I wanted to, because I couldn't not. The shirt, the laptop message, her perfectly timed explanation. It all stuck with me like a bad echo. Once you start looking at your life from a cracked angle, it's hard to unsee what's bent. It began with the little things. Her phone used to be left lying around everywhere. Kitchen counter, bathroom sink, sometimes even on top of the car keys. Now it was glued to her like a second skin. Not just in hand, but screen down. Always screen down. She used to keep her notifications on loud. Now they were silent. I'd only know she got something when I'd catch the faint buzz in her pocket, followed by her walking out of the room. She changed her lock screen. New passcode. I only noticed because I tried to pause a podcast once when she handed me her phone in the car. It bounced to the lock screen. For digits. No Face ID. Just a quiet "you don't have access here" kind of message. She used to ask me to help her with her iCloud storage. Now she didn't. In fact, she stopped syncing with the shared drive altogether. Said it was just cleaner that way. Maybe it was. But maybe it wasn't. Then came the schedule inconsistencies. Laura's work had always been flexible, but she was predictable. Morning meetings, lunch around 12:30, home by 6 unless there was a deadline. But suddenly things got random. One week she'd have back-to-back video calls and be exhausted by 5. The next she'd go into the office on a Friday, something she never did before. Said she needed the quiet. Said the VPN wasn't working. Said the team needed FaceTime. Except I drove by her office one of those Fridays. I hadn't planned to. I was nearby running an errand. Thought I'd surprise her with lunch. Something we hadn't done in a while. I picked up her favorite. Vietnamese vermicelli bowl, extra herbs, no peanuts. But her car wasn't in the lot. The front desk guy, nice kid, always friendly, said he hadn't seen her that day. I stood there holding that paper bag, feeling like a complete idiot. I didn't say anything when I got home. I didn't accuse her. Just watched as she walked in 2 hours later, hair up in a high ponytail, wearing clothes I hadn't seen her leave in. She kissed me on the cheek, told me she was dead from back-to-back calls, then took a long shower. That night, I emptied the Vietnamese takeout into the trash when she wasn't looking. The next shift was in the details. The way she'd disappear into the guest room during calls and close the door. The way she suddenly got very into office trivia and came home one day with a delicate silver necklace and a whole story about how she won it by knowing which VP had gone to Stanford. I said, "Nice. What did second place get?" She blinked for a second too long before laughing it off. I kept count of those seconds. They stacked up. Then one night, she came home around 1:30 a.m. She had said it was a late celebration. Someone on the team had gotten promoted and booked a last-minute rooftop bar. She texted me around 10 that she might be home late. By midnight, I started pacing. When she walked through the door, she looked off. Her dress was rumpled, hair windblown, eyes a little glassy. No jacket, no earrings. She kicked off her shoes and said, "Babe, I'm sorry it went long," and went straight to the bathroom. 10 minutes later, I found her underwear stuffed into her purse. That was when something inside me truly snapped. She blamed the heat. It was just gross and sweaty in there. I was uncomfortable. I took them off in the cab. She said it like it was logical, like it made sense. Then she got defensive. "You're being weird about this," she said. "What, you think I did something wrong?" I told her no. I told her I believed her. But I didn't. I think she knew that. From that night on, things got quieter between us. Less talking. More distance. She didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she did and was just okay with it. I started keeping a journal. I'm not a journal guy, but I needed to get the fog out of my head somehow. Every time something felt off, I wrote it down. June 3rd, late night out. Came back without underwear. Smelled like a perfume I didn't recognize. June 10th. Took a call in the guest room. Whispered. Door closed. June 14th. Trivia win necklace. Asked if second place got anything. She laughed too hard. June 21st. Said she was working late. Wasn't at the office. Vietnamese lunch never delivered. June 30th. Found a wine cork in her tote bag. Said it was from a girls' night. She was at a team retreat. One day, while going through some old Google Drive folders, looking for tax stuff, I found a folder I didn't recognize. It was under a shared directory we hadn't touched in years. Something she had created back when we were planning a vacation in Oregon. Inside were the usual flight receipts, Airbnb confirmations, packing lists. But then there was something newer. A subfolder called Q2 Rollouts. Except it wasn't work-related. I clicked on it. Inside were a few *TS and 2 short video files. I thought it was just a misfile, maybe some tutorial or training clip she downloaded. But when I opened the first one, my stomach dropped. It was footage from an office security camera. The timestamp was recent, a couple of weeks ago. At first, it looked harmless. A wide *T of a conference room. Laura was there, pacing near a whiteboard with a man I didn't recognize. Maybe in his 40s, a little stocky, dark blazer. They were talking. No audio. She was laughing, brushing her hair behind her ear. Then, slowly, they moved closer. He touched her arm. She didn't flinch. She stepped forward. By the end of the clip, they were standing too close. Way too close. His hand moved behind her back. Then the lights dimmed. The second video picked up where the first left off. Same room. Different angle. A longer *T. This one lasted 17 minutes. Couldn't watch the whole thing. Not in one sitting. Not with my heart trying to break out of my chest. I closed the browser, stood up, walked outside, and sat on the porch until the sky started turning blue. For hours, I stared at the street. Not crying. Not shaking. Just blank. This was it, right? The line between suspicion and proof. The moment your worst thoughts stop being paranoia and become real. But here's what's weird. I didn't explode. I didn't scream. I didn't even wake her up. I went back inside, poured myself a glass of water, and sat quietly on the couch. The video didn't lie. Her necklace didn't lie. The wine cork, the shirt, the quiet phone, the sudden secrets. None of it lied. She did. But now I had something more than suspicion. Something concrete. Something undeniable. And suddenly, I wasn't just watching anymore. I was planning. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't even try. I just sat there in the living room. The glow from the laptop reflecting off the empty glass in my hand. The silence of the house felt heavier than usual. Like it knew something had broken. Like even the walls didn't want to make noise. When I finally looked at the clock, it was almost 5 in the morning. Laura's alarm would go off in less than an hour. I closed the laptop, set it carefully back on the table, and went upstairs. She was asleep, her hair spread across the pillow, face turned toward the window. Peaceful. Innocent, almost. And I hated that word. Innocent, because it didn't belong to her anymore. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at her, trying to make sense of the person lying next to me. The person I thought I knew. The one I built my life around. I didn't wake her. Didn't say a thing. Just walked back downstairs and sat on the porch until the sun came up. That morning, I went through the motions like nothing had happened. Made coffee. Fed the cat. Answered work emails. When she came down, she was humming to herself, hair damp from the shower, the same silver trivia win necklace hanging from her neck. She kissed me on the cheek and said she was running late for a meeting. I said, "Drive safe." She smiled, said, "Always," and left. As soon as her car disappeared down the street, I opened the laptop again. The files were still there, the 2 videos, the screensh *ts, the timestamps. The folder wasn't locked, just tucked away, like she never thought I'd find it. I watched again, slower this time, frame by frame. Every detail burned into my mind. The way she leaned against the whiteboard, the way he stood close enough for his tie to brush her shoulder, the way she didn't pull away. Then, the part that made my stomach twist, her hands on his face. 17 minutes. That's how long it lasted. 17 minutes to destroy 10 years of marriage. I didn't need to imagine what happened after. I saw enough. I stared at the man in the video. He was older, maybe mid-40s. Sharp suit, confident posture. Probably some middle management type, the kind that thinks charm and authority are the same thing. And from the way he looked at her, I could tell this wasn't their first time. She wasn't just cheating. She was comfortable. For a while, I sat there frozen, my brain flickering between rage and disbelief, like static on an old TV. There's something about seeing betrayal that changes you. It's not like hearing rumors or finding texts. It's proof in motion. A performance they didn't know had an audience. By noon, I had made my decision. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to yell or demand explanations. I wasn't going to give her the drama she probably expected. I was going to do something quieter. Something that would leave a mark she couldn't wash off. I forwarded the video files to myself first, creating a separate folder off the cloud, off any shared drives. Then I wrote a short, clean email. No emotion, no accusations, just facts. Subject: ethics concern, confidential evidence. Dear HR Director's name, I am submitting materials regarding potential misconduct between 2 employees in violation of corporate policy. The attached footage speaks for itself. Regards. No signature. I didn't include her name. Didn't have to. The HR director would know. Her boss's name was in the metadata of the files. Took me less than a minute to send it. 1 click. 1 quiet motion to set a chain reaction in motion. After that, I shut the laptop, leaned back, and waited. I don't know what I expected, maybe guilt, maybe fear, but what I felt was calm. Like stepping out of a burning building and realizing you don't have to run back in. By evening, she came home early. Said her boss had called an emergency meeting, and that things were chaotic. I nodded, pretending not to know. She poured herself a glass of wine and sat across from me at the table, scrolling through her phone with that faint line between her brows. The one she gets when she's stressed but trying to hide it. "You okay?" I asked. She forced a smile. "Yeah, work's just weird right now." "Oh," I said. "Something happen?" "Nothing serious," she said quickly. "Just internal stuff. Politics, you know." I nodded, hiding the fact that I knew exactly what kind of politics she meant. She drank her wine, refilled her glass, and tried to talk about dinner plans. I listened, but my mind was somewhere else. In another room, another world, watching that footage on a loop in my head. That night, I heard her phone buzzing more than usual. She kept flipping it over, silencing the screen. At one point, she even left the room to take a call. Her voice was low, urgent, and I could hear the tremor in it. When she came back, she looked pale. I didn't ask. I didn't need to. 2 days later, I came home to find her sitting on the couch, eyes red, laptop open in front of her. She looked up at me like a kid caught stealing something. "They're investigating," she said quietly. "Who is?" "HR. Someone sent in a video." I tilted my head. "Video?" Her voice cracked. "Of me. And him." I kept my face still. Neutral. "That's awful." Her lip trembled. "I swear I didn't think anyone would ever." She stopped herself. "They said we violated company policy. They're reviewing everything." I just nodded. "What happens next?" "They said we might be terminated." She wiped at her eyes. "This could ruin my career." I looked at her, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered every lie. Every team dinner. Every late night. Every Bayshore in tag and lipstick smudge and unanswered question. She wasn't crying for me. She was crying for herself. I said, "You'll figure it out," and walked upstairs. By the next morning, she was gone before I woke up. Her car was missing. I found a note on the counter that said she'd gone in to clear things up. No apology. No explanation. Just that. That afternoon, I got a text from her. "They fired me. Both of us." Then another. "I don't know how they found out." And another. "Please answer me. We need to talk." I didn't owe her my silence anymore. But I also didn't owe her my voice. That night, I opened a new document on my laptop. A draft for a divorce petition. My lawyer's name sat at the top of the screen from an old referral email. Felt mechanical, unemotional. Just words and spaces and signatures. No drama. No shouting. Just paperwork. By the time I went to bed, my inbox had 7 unread messages from her. The first 3 were defensive. The next 2 were pleading. The last 2 were just quiet. Short sentences that read like someone talking to a wall. I didn't reply to a single one. When I finally turned off the light, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even numb. I was free. The morning after they fired her, Laura called me 5 times before noon. I didn't answer. I just watched the screen light up, buzz, then go dark again. 5 times. Then a pause. Then a voicemail. Then a text that just said, "Please." That was it. Just one word. She didn't come home that night, and I didn't ask where she was. Instead, I poured myself a drink. Not because I was upset or even to celebrate. I didn't feel like I had anything to toast. It was just something to hold while the house got quieter. That was the strangest part. The quiet. No voice echoing from the hallway. No heels on tile. No keys dumped on the kitchen counter. Just the hum of the fridge and the occasional creak of old wood. It was peaceful, but it was also unfamiliar, like waking up in a hotel room and not remembering how you got there. The next day, the voicemails started stacking up. Her voice came in waves. First tense, clipped. "I don't understand why you're ignoring me. We need to talk. This is serious." Then shaky. "They let him go too. It's all over. I don't even know what to do now." Then soft, almost childlike. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Then silence. I'd sit on the edge of the bed sometimes and just listen. Not out of curiosity, just to hear what she sounded like when she wasn't lying. She always sounded like a stranger. The final voicemail came on a Thursday night. "Mark, if this is really it, if you're really done, then I just need to say I'm sorry. For everything. I wish I could undo it. I wish I could make you believe that I loved you, even when I didn't act like it. I didn't expect this to go so far. I didn't expect to lose everything. I deleted it without saving. I had already started the divorce paperwork by then. No announcements. No scenes. Just a quiet folder on my desktop titled, Next Steps. My lawyer, Sarah, was direct. Efficient. The kind of person who doesn't blink when you tell her you've been watching your wife unravel your marriage behind your back for 6 months. She didn't ask for the whole story. She just asked for the facts. "Do you have documentation?" "Yes." Infidelity? On camera. Do you want the house? Yes. Alimony? Not a dime. It was handled with the same tone you'd use to cancel a magazine subscription. And that's what I wanted: clean, fast, permanent. A week passed. Then two. The messages slowed. I guess she figured out I wasn't going to give her the reaction she wanted. No rage, no heartbreak. Just absence. And in its own way, that's what hit her the hardest. Because silence can be louder than any scream. I heard through one of her friends that she was staying with her sister across town. Apparently, she'd been spiraling. Job gone, social circle drying up, rumors beginning to spread. Her boss's wife wasn't staying silent, either. A friend of mine from that company told me she had filed a formal complaint, threatened a lawsuit. The HR department had no choice but to act. That made me pause, because while I was content to walk away quietly, someone else wasn't. I didn't reach out to the wife, but I didn't have to. The files had metadata, names, dates, camera IDs. If she found what I found, the fire was already burning, and I wasn't going to throw water on it. Laura tried to call again after that. Just once. A video call. I let it ring, watched the screen flicker, her face half-shadowed in the preview window. Then I declined it. She texted immediately after. I lost everything. Are you really going to act like I never meant anything to you? I stared at the message for a long time, and then finally I wrote back. 7 words. This isn't acting. This is who I am. I turned off read receipts after that. At work, I was sharper than ever. Focused. My boss even pulled me aside and said, "You're on fire lately. Whatever's going on, keep it up." I just nodded. I didn't tell him my life had imploded in silence. That I had gone from husband to ghost in less than a month. That I wasn't sleeping much, and yet somehow, I was thinking clearer than I had in years. I didn't tell anyone. Not my friends. Not my family. Not even my brother, who would have shown up with a baseball bat and a bottle of whiskey if I gave him even half the story. Because this wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity. When you strip everything away, the dinners, the vacations, the smiling pictures on the mantle, you're left with something simple. Do they protect your heart when you're not looking? And Laura didn't. She left mine wide open and let someone else walk in. That doesn't get repaired. It gets replaced with silence, distance, and paperwork. My lawyer sent the petition to her email. No theatrics. Just a PDF and a subject line. Petition for dissolution of marriage. 3 hours later, she responded. So this is really it. No salutation. No argument. Just acceptance. That night, I boxed up the last of her things. Shoes under the bed. A jacket still hanging on the coat rack. Her favorite mug, the one with the chipped handle that said "You're my person." I wrapped it all carefully, not out of kindness, just to avoid the sound of anything breaking. I stacked the boxes by the front door, texted her the next morning. "Your things are ready. Pick up any time after 6. She didn't reply, but she showed up at 6:37. She didn't knock, just stood on the porch until I opened the door. She looked smaller somehow, paler. The silver necklace was gone. Her face was bare. She didn't ask to come in. She didn't even say my name. She just looked at the boxes and said, "That's all of it?" I nodded. She stared at the bottom one. The mug must have been inside. Her mouth twitched like she was about to say something. But then she didn't. Just turned around and carried the first load to her car. I didn't help. When she was done, she stood by the door again, holding her keys like she was waiting for permission to say something. "You're really not going to talk to me?" I looked at her. Really looked. The person standing there wasn't the one I married. That person had died quietly sometime between the trivia prize and the 17-minute clip. And this person, this was just a ghost wearing her shape. "There's nothing to say," I replied. She swallowed hard. "You really never saw this coming?" "No," I said. "But I should have." She stepped off the porch, paused halfway to her car. "I don't know how to fix it," she said. "I don't even know how to start." I didn't answer, because it wasn't my problem anymore. She got in, started the engine, and pulled away. No wave, no backward glance. just taillights fading into dusk. I watched until the street was empty again, then closed the door and locked it. The silence returned. But this time it didn't feel heavy. Felt earned. A week after Laura took the boxes, I got a call from an unknown number. I don't usually answer those, but something made me pick up. "Is this Mark?" Female voice. Calm. Direct. "Yes," I said, cautious. "This is Dana. I was married to Brian Hale." Brian. That was the name on the conference room schedule in the video metadata. Her boss. The one in the blazer. The one who touched her like he'd done it before. His wife. I didn't say anything. "I think you know who I am," she said. "And I think you know why I'm calling." I stayed silent. "I'm not looking for drama," she continued. "I just want to confirm what I already know." I received footage. From a Gmail account with no name. No signature. Just the video and some *TS. I waited. "You didn't put your name on it," she added. "But I know it was you." Still, I said nothing. "Thank you," she said after a long pause. "You didn't have to send it. But I'm glad you did." Then softer, almost like a sigh. "They thought they were careful. He said it was nothing serious. That it was already over. But the footage said otherwise." I finally spoke. "I didn't do it for revenge. I just didn't want to carry it anymore." "I understand." She paused. "I thought about confronting her. But I realized something you already did. Better than I ever could." I nodded, even though she couldn't see it. Then she said something that stuck with me. "Truth has its own gravity, Mark. You don't have to throw it. You just have to let it land." She hung up after that. 2 days later, the story broke. Not in a newspaper. Not through some official statement. But in the place where modern scandals go to die. A Facebook post. I didn't see it firsthand. A coworker sent me the link. The post came from Dana's personal profile. No filters. No vague subtweeting. Just a collage of *TS. A bold caption, and 3 paragraphs of blistering honesty. She posted the conference room footage. Blurred faces, but unmistakable outlines. Dates. Chat logs. A timeline that began with harmless, late-night Slack messages and ended with the word termination. She didn't hold back. The post spread fast. People shared it. Commented. **TED it for other platforms. The kind of thing you hear about happening to someone else, not to your ex-wife. Laura didn't have social media anymore. Not since the HR review. But she couldn't hide from it. Her name came up in comment sections, group chats, even workplace forums. Suddenly, I wasn't the only one who knew the truth. She tried to do damage control. I heard from a mutual friend that she messaged people trying to explain, saying she'd been manipulated by her boss, that she'd been emotionally compromised, that it wasn't what it looked like. But once the story was public, no one was interested in nuance. The world doesn't offer context when the headlines are personal. I didn't speak up, didn't defend her, didn't attack her either. I wasn't going to join the noise. I had already said my piece, with silence, with paperwork, with a quiet Dropbox link sent to a woman I'd never met. Let the rest of them figure it out. I spent those days rebuilding things. Not big things, just little ones. I replaced the rug in the hallway that we bought on a trip to Portland. Took down the framed photo from our anniversary. Canceled the wine subscription she had signed us up for. Swapped the mugs in the cabinet so hers were at the back. Petty, maybe, but it helped. One afternoon, I walked into a coffee shop across town. A new place near the edge of the city. The kind of place with too many plants and tiny tables and a guy playing acoustic guitar near the corner. The barista asked for my name. I said, "Mark." She smiled and wrote it on the cup without hesitation. For the first time in months, no one looked at me like I was him, the guy whose wife blew up her life in a corporate scandal. No whispers, no recognition, just coffee. Felt like freedom. I stayed for a while, sat near the window and opened a book. Let the world move past me for once. No calls, no texts, just the low hum of conversation, the smell of espresso, and the sound of someone else's heartbreak playing on guitar strings in the corner. A week later, I got an email from Laura. Not a message. An actual email. Subject line blank. Mark, I know you've probably seen the posts. I know people are talking. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Not for what happened between us. I've already said that. But for the fact that it's all so public now. I never meant for this to become a spectacle. You didn't deserve that. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to say I'm leaving town for a while. Staying with my cousin. I need to get away. I don't know who I am anymore. I hope you're okay. I hope you find peace. L. I didn't reply. There wasn't anything left to say. Whatever pieces of her that had once belonged to my life were already gone. The apartment was different now. The kitchen was mine again. The air didn't carry unfamiliar perfume. The sheets didn't smell like someone else's cologne. And I didn't flinch every time my phone lit up. People kept asking me if I felt vindicated. But that's the wrong word. There's no trophy for surviving betrayal. No medal for being the last one standing after someone burns the house down and expects you to sit calmly in the flames. You don't win anything. You just get the space to rebuild. One brick at a time. Eventually, the online chatter died down. The post got buried under memes and news cycles and trending nonsense. People moved on. That's what they do. But I didn't forget. Because forgetting isn't the point. Remembering without carrying the weight, that's what healing looks like. One night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. You're the guy from the post, right? Just wanted to say what you did took guts. Respect. I didn't answer. Not because I was trying to be cold, but because I didn't need affirmation from strangers. What mattered was that I had handled it my way. Quietly, clearly, without becoming someone I'd regret. And now, for the first time in too long, I wasn't holding my breath waiting for the next betrayal. There were no more passwords to guess, no locations to track, no lies to decode. Just me, my thoughts, my place, my life. And I was finally ready to live it again. I didn't go to her birthday, but I sent a black envelope to the restaurant, no card, no flowers. Just a flash drive labeled, "This is what you gambled with." It held everything. The videos, the texts, the photos, the silence. She opened it between toasts, excused herself, and never returned to the table. I didn't follow up. It wasn't revenge. It was closure, sealed and delivered. I moved to a small apartment near the park. Quiet, simple. I started running again, cooking, reading in silence. No late-night phone buzzes, no fake meetings, no trace of her perfume on shirts I never wore. I didn't chase happiness. I just let peace in. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting to be lied to. And that somehow was more than enough.